On today's show, the LA Clippers have lost Paul George, which is a significant piece. How will they overcome the loss of Paul George without gaining a third star? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Offseason Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in the greatest city in the world of Los Angeles, and going into my 20th season as a Clipper fan this fall. You can also follow me on X. That doesn't sound right, does it? Twitter and Instagram at Dime Dropper Pod, and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper, LA Sports, and NBA and WNBA content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, where I want you to let me know what you think will be the biggest thing that we use or do to overcome the loss of Paul George. And that's what this episode is going to be about. And before we get started with that, this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is a great place to get last minute deals on tickets. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. So, obviously, I said that I wasn't going to do any more Paul George centered episodes after I had that double header with Jamal Christopher. And this isn't a PG-centric episode, really, even though his name is in the title. It's really about how is our team going to be how are we going to make up for that loss? This season's team, right? It's not about last season, what Paul George has done. It's about what he did and what we can do to replace it. So I think there are a couple of reasons. I think the defense is important. I think James Harden and Kawhi Leonard are integral. And then at the end of the show, I'm going to be talking about Paul George's dad. I'm being serious. I had to say something about it, like at least do a segment on it, because everybody on social media was talking about it, and I think it's worth speaking on, because I think I'm just, to be honest, I just feel like giving every one of you more ammo. What I mean by ammo is, I don't want people to dislike Paul George necessarily, but I want you all to know the stuff that's being said, because he deserves, I personally, I want to see boos that are by far and away the loudest that an opposing player has ever received at a Clipper home game. Because we've never had that guy that's come back and just gotten ruined with boos. We just haven't. I remember when Elton Brand came back, and there's a small video on YouTube you can find of it, where when he comes in they boo, but it's not even close to sold out. There's no hype behind the game. I don't remember if Elton got booed on every touch, and I can't nowhere I can find that game. If anybody has the link or something to that game, please, for the love of God, send it to me or put it in the comments or something. But anyway, the first way we are going to get over Paul George's leaving, because here's the thing. I totally disagree with everyone that says, well, I think it'll be addition by subtraction, honestly. Like, we're going to be better without him. We're not missing much because of his faults, but I think that's a little delusional. And maybe this comment comes back to bite me, and you know what? By all means, you can use the receipts. If I am wrong, I would love to be wrong. Because it would be hilarious if it was addition by subtraction and we actually had a better regular season this year. Because the playoffs will never be a fair gauge. If Kawhi's healthy this year, that's just something we didn't have last year. So there's nothing you could say about, oh, Paul George is gone, that's why. No, it would be because Kawhi's healthy, that's why we'd be doing good. But in the regular season, we had a pretty damn good regular season last year. You know what I'm saying? 52 wins. That's no joke. That's no joke at all. And, okay, I have to double check if it was 52 wins because I feel like I'm going crazy right now. 51 wins. There we go. Thank God I checked that, because one game off. 51 wins, right? Are we going to be a 50-win team this year? I think we have a chance if Kawhi and James play 60-plus games, but I'll talk more about them in the second segment. The first thing that you can see from our team this year, the way it's constructed, is there is a defense-first thing going on here. Defense-first identity. Derrick Jones Jr. So you lose Paul George, right? And the reason why I say it's a big loss is we're still losing a guy that was an all-star last year. And whether or not you believe that he should have been an all-star or not, whether you think James should have made it instead or whoever it may be, The fact that, and you can't deny that both James Harden and Paul George are in the conversation to be an all-star, which automatically puts him in around the top 30 players in the league, in the world, right? You're losing a guy of that caliber, top 30, top 35. The thing that pisses us off and pissed off Clipper Nation is that Paul George really has the talent to be top 10 to 15, but he ends up being top 30 to 35. So we're losing that, though, and we're not replacing it. He's 23, 5-4 or 6-4 on 45, 38, 88 splits every year about. And, like, that's nothing to scoff at. We're losing that, and especially for a team that has major injury concerns, losing a guy that can have that ability is huge. Because if we didn't even have Paul George last season and Kawhi was out, I would be shocked if James Harden got more than a game. He might get a game off his brilliance individually, but there's no way we would have gotten more without Paul. The way we're going to make up for his loss is, you know what? The scoring, we probably won't be as good of an offensive team. I think that's kind of established. But the defense, let's see who we picked up in the offseason. Derrick Jones Jr., Chris Dunn, Nico Batum, getting him back. We picked up the three biggest guys that we picked up, and I know there's people saying, what about Mo Bamba? What about Kevin Porter Jr.? Hate to break it to everybody, but I think Derrick Jones and Nico are going to be used more than those guys. In terms of KPJ versus Chris Dunn, I think Chris Dunn is the more likely bet because of his defense and because he was in an NBA rotation last year to get consistent minutes. But depending on what we need and who could be out, like if James Harden goes down, you got to play KPJ or Bones, like one of them, because we don't have any offensive creation outside of Kawhi. But here's the thing. Going back to my last episode, if we use Zoo, then you'll have more offensive creation by using him as a go-to guy. Norm Powell here and there, but he's more of an attacking closeouts kind of guy because with the ball in his hands, he just really only goes hard right, drives, does a little jump and scoop pass every time. It's like the only pass he has in his arsenal. He's not a good live dribble passer. But here's the thing about the defense thing. So we pick up our three biggest signings for me: Chris Dunn, Derrick, and Nico. Defense first all the way. Last season, we were middle of the pack in defensive rating. I think we were 16th, but I'm going to double check that. That's not good enough. That's not good enough for a team that wants to have a chance to win a championship unless we have a nuclear offense, and our offense looked nuclear when we were winning, when we were on that streak, that 26-5 run. However, it wasn't, long-lasting, and I think defense gives you a higher floor. I'm a defense-first guy. Even the youth teams I coach, like 6th and 7th grade, my first practice, half of it is on defense, and the other half is not necessarily on offense. We'll do offense, and I'll let them play a little bit to see more about my team in live ball situations, in a game situation, but the majority of drilling is defense for me, because that's just how I do things. And with a coach like Jeff Van Gundy, and I talked about it, I don't remember the exact stat, but basically every single team he's ever been a part of in the NBA, assistant coach or coach, their teams usually have a top 10 defensive rating. Almost every single one. That's not coincidental. Jeff Van Gundy, and you could hear it when he was doing color commentary over the last, decade plus. He has a defense-first lens. And bringing in Derrick Jones to help Terrence Mann out, and now putting less on Kawhi. And you still have Zoo back there. And then Nico, another guy who we just saw in the Olympics, I know he's older, guard SGA and Dennis Schroeder and do a good job. This point of attack defense, we've got Derrick, Terrence Mann, and Nico. Three guys. And that's not even mentioning Kawhi Leonard. And then Chris Dunn. Like, we have the chance to be a top 5 defense in this league if guys really take pride in the point of attack every single night. James Harden and Norm Powell right now, as of now, are only two bad defenders. But I think when they play well, they can be below average, right? At best. Like, they can be a little bit lower. They're not liabilities, right? When we were on that 26-5 stretch, James Harden was really doing a good job defensively. His active hands, he was taking pride one-on-one. I actually think James Harden one-on-one defensively is not really bad. He's not against quick guards, he's not great, but it's more off-ball, his awareness in transition, his effort level consistently. And Norm Powell, I just think he's just a poor defender. I actually think James Harden mechanically and technically is a better defender, and Norm, I think he probably, I don't know if he puts on more effort than James Harden on a nightly basis defensively. I can't lie to you. Probably a little bit. But I think James actually is a better fundamentally sound defender in the sense that, like, he guards better one-on-one. His closeouts are better. So that kind of stuff. So that's my conclusion on that. My point being that those are the only two guys that defensively are not necessarily strong in all our rotation players. If you're not counting Bones and KPJ, I mean, we don't know about Mo Bamba really. He might be awful defensively, and I haven't watched him enough consistently to know that. But I've heard he's bad, but I'm not just going to take everybody's word for it. I have to watch it. When it comes to defense, I'm big on watching it myself. But, yeah, we have a good defensive team, and I think if we can be top 5 in defensive rating, it totally changes our ceiling and our floor in games. Like, we could literally just be in games because we're staying in it with stops. And we're going to need to because we really have 2 shot creators. If James or Kawhi are out, we are going to be struggling. So we need to get stops. And I think Zubats is on pace for a great defensive season. And, of course, you've got Kawhi, Nico, Derek Jones, Terrence Mann. So, defense. Coming up, though, the James Harden, Kawhi Leonard punch. What do we need from them this upcoming season to make up for the loss of Paul? Going to be talking about that coming up. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Kids are always learning and growing, but as adults, sometimes we lose that curiosity, think we have it all figured out, and think we know what we need to do or need to know to advance in our lives. But what's something you'd like to learn? Gardening, a new language, or maybe how to finally beat your best friend in bowling, or I don't know, pickleball these days. Everybody's playing pickleball these days. Therapy can help you reconnect with your sense of wonder because your back to school era can come at any age. Even if it's basketball, same thing. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers your first listen of the day. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On NBA podcast. There is no offseason in the NBA, and Locked On NBA provides daily basketball analysis from national and local experts in 30 minutes or less. No one keeps you as informed and entertained as Locked On NBA. Available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. All right, so besides the defense and being a top 10, we need to be top 10 in defensive rating, no questions asked. We need to be top 10. If we can be top 5, though, changes everything. Here's what else needs to just obviously be a difference. Kawhi and James Harden need to take it up one notch each. And I think James Harden is ready for that. I think James has no problems going back to more ISOs for him, which had one of the best points per possessions of any isolation player in the league this season, or last season, I guess. And he's more than comfortable taking more of an offensive load, I think, as a second option. He just did it with Embiid, averaged 20 and 11 2 seasons ago. And last season, yeah, he ran out of gas for a stretch, but 17 points, 5 boards, and 8.5 assists. He shot 11 shots a game, which was his lowest in years. We can definitely use some more James shots. We can definitely use 15 shots a night. And that'll just add to his overall aggression. You know, there were times last season in the beginning when he first got here, we were like, yeah, James is being a little passive. And it wasn't until he started breaking defenses down more that it all opened up for us. And if I'm being honest with you, I have more trust in James Harden getting 2 feet in the paint than any player on our team. And that's sad, honestly. And that's one of the problems we're going to have as an offense. So that's why James and Kawhi need to be a level above. So I'm thinking from James, 20 points this season. I'm not saying he needs to average that, but if he averages 20 points, 9 assists, 5 boards, plays 60-plus games, and just gives us a little bit slightly below average defense, that would be a good season for him. On solid splits, which I'm pretty confident he can have, that would be a great season. As far as Kawhi, this is maybe the part I'm most excited for. There better not be many games where Kawhi plays and shoots under 20 shots. We need high-volume Kawhi Leonard again. Last year, he shot 17 shots a game, and he averaged 24 points on 52, 42, 88 splits. It really could be, if you round up, 53, 42, 89 splits. But he only shoots 17 shots a game, and the thing is, he doesn't get to the foul line like that. Only 4 free throw attempts a night. So he's not really getting by. I remember I had the blow-by watch all season. Shout out to my guy Adam, our radio host that I just had on. He was always tagging me every time Kawhi had a full blow-by, and my definition is we're talking top of the key ISO, the way Harden, for example, does it, and you fully get by the guy. He's not on your hip. He's behind you type. Kawhi only had or it doesn't even have to be at the top of the key, but it has to be a little bit feet from the basket, so he's getting a little bit of a running start. Or a start dribbling the ball on a live dribble, essentially, not off a rip through or an attack and a closeout. So, actually, you know what? It could be a rip through. I qualify a rip through as that as well. But basically, the defender has to be in front of you, not you're catching it and ripping and just going right away when the defense is rotating. That's different. Point is, he had 3 or 4 all season, Kawhi, right? So he's not getting in the paint like that. He's so efficient because his mid-range game is just cash. And he's so fundamentally sound. He gets the right shots. And he works off the ball more than most players these days to get good position for a shot that he likes. But James, he's going to have to be very aggressive. And here's the thing. That's what I'm worried about is if we're asking James Harden to be the guy that consistently gets in the paint all the time more than anyone else on our team at age 35, how good is our team's offense going to really be? I think James is going to have insane stretches of the season. I think he's going to have a very good season, but it's a lot to put on him now. To me, we all agreed as Clipper fans he should be a third option. He's a second option right now, and that's not it. It's good enough to be a very good team, but not to win a championship. And I don't wonder if Kawhi and James, I keep repeating this on the show, what do they think about it? But if we're talking Kawhi, I think he should average 20 shots a game this year. 24 points, I got to be honest with everybody, that's not good enough from him. And I get it, all 3 of them were trying to make it work last season, and you had Russ on the bench and all that. But I'm excited about PG being gone in the sense that there's less deferring going on. It's Kawhi and James, and it's their show, and we know it. And Kawhi needs to be getting 20 shots a night. And he needs to be aggressive. Get the ball and start gunning. And you know what? His efficiency might dip a little bit. Who cares? He will still be efficient. And to me, he's one of the most skilled and best scorers in the league when he has that high volume, that aggression, which is essentially playoff Kawhi when we get it. But he needs to be on that type of time. Like in 2020, he was on that type of time when Paul George was missing so many games. I'll read you guys a stat. Last season, as I said, 17 shot attempts. 2023, 17 shot attempts. 2021, 17 and a half. 2019-20, 19.9. So essentially, he averaged 20 shots a game. And you know what? Guess what? That was his career high PPG for a season. 2019-20, 27 points a night. And he shot 47%. So yeah, not as efficient. But you know what? 47, 38, 89 splits. I'll take those all day long. So that's what we need. We need a higher offensive aggression from both of them, and honestly, just brilliance from both of them on a nightly basis. Coming up, gonna talk about what Paul George's dad had to say about the LA Clippers and the way they did him. You're gonna want to stay for this. I got to tell you a little something about Game Time. Game Time is the best place to get great deals last minute on tickets. And Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy with Game Time. And right now, MLB, it's hot right now. We're at that point in the season where everyone's making their playoff push. You want to go use them for MLB tickets if you're trying to go to games. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, so how are we going to make up for the loss of Paul George? I think being a top 10 defense, but if we could be top 5, even better, and higher volume from Kawhi and Paul. Kawhi and James, sorry. All right, speaking of Paul, I only wanted to spend a segment on him. Obviously, he's not worth the whole episode. This was more about our team this year. This is what Paul George's dad had to say on Podcast P. He said, I feel like they stabbed us in the back. Paul did a whole lot for the team. He felt that was a bunch of bull that they came at him with, and I wasn't going to sugarcoat it either. It was hurting. And he also said he was there. I think he gave them 110%. And what he was asking, it wasn't a whole lot, but they seeing something different. Yeah, let's just break that down. How did we stab Paul in the back? Because we didn't offer him more money to start? I don't think people understand how negotiations work. And if you lowball someone, I don't think that's necessarily stabbing them in the back, because the first offer doesn't mean that's your final offer. We essentially offered him as much as Kawhi, and he said no because he wanted more years. So, like, who are we talking about backstab? Your son chose to get more money. You know what I mean? If you thought we were offering him that, then your son is delusional in my eyes. Paul did a whole lot for the team. Yes, he did, but if we're really being honest, only 1 year was great. And yeah, 2022, he was good in the 31 games that he played. Not even half of a season. And then, okay, he felt that was a bunch of bull. That's fine. You know, Paul's entitled to his opinion. I have nothing, and his dad is also entitled to his opinion. I have nothing bad to say about him like that. It's business. But, you know, to say he gave us 110%, like, sorry, Pops, but I have a different definition of what 110% is. Terrence Mann, he usually gives 100%. Remember Reggie Evans? He gave 100%. CP3, he gave 100%. Matt Barnes, he gave 100%. Montrezl Harrell, say what you want about him, he gave 100. Patrick Beverley, he gave 100. Russell Westbrook, I'd say with us 90. 80 to 90. Not 100 anymore like OKC. Paul George did not give 110%. He did not. He gave us about 80. And that's not just talent I'm talking effort. You know, nights where he was disinterested defensively, and I'm like, how did you get this defensive reputation? Nights where he had no aggression. It's just 110%. I disagree massively. But anyway, I mean, it is what it is. You know, I think right now Paul George and Paul George Sr. are just only digging their own graves when it comes to Paul's reception at the Intuit Dome when he returns on November 6th. I will make sure I'm in the building and as a fan. I want to be heard that night. I want everybody to be heard that night. And it's not long-term hate for PG, but right now he deserves to get the absolute worst. He already made the B team comment, which was unnecessary, and now this is happening. I mean, his dad is entitled to his opinion, but it's just really weak stuff. It's just really weak stuff. And all the stuff he said when he was here about wanting to bring this franchise their first ring and being Mr. Clipper. I get it. You got more money elsewhere, but like you left Kawhi like that. Just with James. Like with, you know, James came to be a part of this big three or big four, whatever it was. The Russ thing wasn't going to work out with James, but I don't know, man. Finish what you started. We traded a lot for you. Kawhi used you in negotiations for him to sign with the franchise. You're at home. But it's okay. At the end of the day, the Clippers might end up better for this long term. I don't know about this season. They might be more fun to watch just because it's a different energy in the building, and it is a new building. So there literally will be a different energy. But you never know. We'll see. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper, LA Sports, and NBA content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Let me know what you feel is the biggest thing that we're going to need to make up for the loss of an all-star caliber player. The age-old proverb continues, go Clippers.